We're live, boys. Alright, it's fine. Alright. Whichever one you want, honestly. Okay, what about it? Sure, go ahead. Yeah, I know how the opium war started. Yeah. Mhm. Sure. Yeah. Could I say something? I mean, could I just say something? Well, I don't think that the Opium Wars is a bad. That's not. The Opium Wars was motivated by wealth. Sure. The British just wanted to sell stuff, and when they didn't get their way, the British Empire, the government of the United Kingdom, well, the British Empire, decided to force. They decided to go to war for resources and wealth. This is not the fault of capitalism. This is the fault of government. If you don't give people the power, if you don't give people the power, the authority to wage massive wars in the name of resources, things like the Opium Wars just generally they will be rare. They will almost never happen. No, it was run by the British. It was run by the Queen or the King. Yeah. Can you can you honestly call a government capitalist though? Okay, but you see, capitalism. Okay, when a government decides to go to war for resources, decides to create monopolies, decides to tax people, steal from its citizens, create. Don't pay your taxes. See what happens. I dare you. Yeah, exactly. Everyone should be able to keep what they earn. And when you force someone, yeah, if no coercion, if your rights are not harmed at all, like if there is no coercion whatsoever, why does it matter? Why shouldn't you be able to keep everything you earn? You've earned it. You have worked for it. You have a reason to be protective of it because yeah, exactly. So why should anyone be forced to give up what they've earned? They have earned it. I either. I don't care. They've earned their wealth. So you don't believe in taxes, but we should tax the rich. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, the problem with monopolies is that they form due to government intervention in the market. I'm not saying monopolies can't form in the free market. They could, but it would be a very rare occurrence. You see, companies, corporations, they really like to get in bed with government. Government is a really slutty whore for these large companies that will bring them lots of money. And that's I'm sorry, what? I okay. Uh but yeah, basically once corporations start getting in bed with government, that's when you've got monopolies. That's when you've got the government willing to bail out companies that are failing, basically making it impossible for them to fail. It's monopolies could very well form in the free market. I'm not denying that. I mean, they could, definitely, but it would be a rare occurrence. As in the free market, there was so much competition. I mean, you would be competing with thousands of other people to satisfy customers. And if customers aren't satisfied, they're going to leave you. I mean, that's yeah, that's basically it. I mean, the whole thing about exploitation is, it's unfair that you can exploit people. But I don't really care as long as, as long as nobody's rights are being violated, and at the end of the day, it was a voluntary transaction. It's perfectly okay. I don't see the problem. I like what's the problem with greed if no one's getting hurt? Um, Commissar, you there? Hello? Oh damn, Commissar Skrilly plays Roblox and Unturned and The Sims and is that Hearts of Iron 4? Huh. And Minecraft. Alright. Um, what? Alright. No, governments can't be capitalist if they're protecting private property and private ownership of the means of production by stealing from people. Like, that's contradictory. You can't protect private property rights while at the same time stealing from people. That's just retarded. Yeah, where's the squirrel? I thought I was supposed to be debating a squirrel. I'm not talking to a wolf. I mean, I could talk to a wolf, but I mean, like, it's not what I came here for. Um, oh, there you are, finally. I would love to talk to a squirrel right now. That'd be pretty fun. Oh, okay. So you want to resume the beat? Okay. So oh shit, where did we leave off? Governmental cap. Okay. Um. Yeah, governmental capitalism. That's an oxymoron. Okay. Capitalism combines private property rights, private ownership of the means of production, and voluntary trade. Governments, right? They steal money from you. They're not really protecting your private property. They're not aiding capitalism. They're not capitalist if they have to steal from you. Governments are not capitalist if they have to steal from you. Damn it, come on. Are you playing a Hearts of Iron campaign as the Soviet Union? Is that why you keep leaving? Okay. If the government has to protect your private property by stealing your private property and taking your private property if you don't obey, how is that government capitalist? God damn it. Okay, the capitalism isn't just the bourgeoisie. That's not. No, capitalism is the. As I said, capitalism is private property, voluntary trade. Yeah, it's basically just private property and voluntary trade. Basically, okay? You, as a member of the working class, can own private property. You can voluntarily trade with other people. You can work with other people. You can work for other people voluntarily. Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be voluntary, but if it's not voluntary, it's not capitalist. That's the point. No, it's not. That's ignoring the definition of capitalism. Okay, that's a pretty yes. That's not that's okay, that's kind of a vague definition. I mean, if you Google the definition of anarchism, like, I mean, just Google the definition of anarchism. But if you just Google the definition of anarchism, then yeah. So I guess anarcho-capitalism is voluntary then. You know, no, I mean, shit. Sorry, I fucked up my words. I fucked up my words. I guess anarcho-capitalism is anarchism then. Why? I mean, you just looked at the Google definition of anarchism. Oh, okay. So the Google account, the Google definition doesn't it doesn't really explain the full picture, does it? Oh, okay. So why are you using the Google definition to debunk my argument when I just used the Google definition of anarchism to prove that I'm an anarchist? You got some double standards there, buddy. You you were you were using it to prove your point, and I used it to prove a point, and you disagreed with me. We did the same thing, and yet you still we did literally the same thing, and you still disagree. Okay. Yeah, okay. I would disagree because it doesn't take into account what all of capitalism. You can't just explain. You can explain what capitalism. Yeah, okay, so people are saying they can't hear you in the chat. Hello, hello. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Hello. Yeah, I could hear you before. Yes. Oh, no, I wasn't. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I could hear you before. Oh, no, I wasn't. No, I'm just reading one of Wolf Leftist comments. Okay. No, I'm just reading. Yeah, hey, Wolf. One of Wolf Leftist comments. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, Wolf Leftist. There is no theft involved with capitalism. Yeah, hey, Wolf. It is literally just voluntary trade. Yeah, okay. With private property and private ownership of the means of production. No, Wolf Leftist. There is no theft involved with capitalism. Like, it is literally just voluntary trade. How are capitalists? How do capitalists steal surplus value and take it for themselves? Like, what do you even define as, like, are you talking about labor? Like, is labor just take it for themselves? Because value is completely subjective. What do you even define as, what do you mean by value? About labor? Like, is labor just, because value is completely subjective. What do you mean by value? Oh yeah, and there's not only a choice between what companies you work for, what businesses you work for. I mean, you can just choose not to work. No, you can just choose to live with your family. Oh yeah, and there's not only a choice between what. And if that's not an option, you can actually just choose to not work. You can just choose not to work. No, you can just choose to live with your families. No, they don't steal surplus value. Actually just choose to not work. They voluntarily, no, people voluntarily work for them. No, they don't. If you choose to work for someone, you are accepting you're accepting the terms that they've given you. You're they basically were just like, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you something if you do this," and you're like, "Okay, I'll do it." Kind of. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, and hey, Wolf Leftist, if you choose not to work in any system, you die. That's how survival works. No, yeah, if you don't work in a commune, you die, dude. No, you can't actually choose not to work. Like, homeless people can live, right? Yes, but the point is, they live. It's not coercion. They're not being coerced to work. If they're not being coerced to work, then it's a voluntary decision. You can be no, you cannot voluntarily be a slave. That doesn't make any sense. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can voluntarily be a slave. No, slavery is not voluntary. Therefore, you can't voluntarily be a slave. Okay, well, yeah, sure. I mean, okay. Yes, sure. You can give up your freedom, but I don't think that it's not right to give up your freedom, I don't think. I mean, okay, if you if you can back out of becoming a slave voluntarily, like if you can just stop being a slave at any time, then yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yes, because if they can leave, if they can stop being slaves at any time they feel like, what's the problem? Yes, but if you can leave, listen, listen to me. Why does it matter? They just if you choose to be a slave and you can stop being a slave at any time without an initiation of force. Sure. What do you think is actual capitalism? Yeah, okay, sure. What? Wait, your resume would be worse. If you just left your job at the just because okay. Yes, nowadays massive companies are in control, and that's because they're in bed with the government, the most powerful people on earth. Yeah, because the government has allowed the government is in bed with the quote unquote bourgeoisie. They are the most powerful people on this planet. Yeah, yes, yeah, it is. And how do you think they got there in the first place? They were in bed with the government. Yeah, they kind of do, yeah. Yeah, Donald Trump was rich. He used the money to fund his own campaign and get into office. Yeah, he used the money that he earned to fund his own campaign. Yeah, yes. Okay, yeah, he inherited a decent amount of money. Yeah, but he paid people to do the labor for him. They voluntarily agreed to do the labor for him, and in return, he paid them on terms that they agreed upon. No, no. Okay, societies are defined upon what they allow, right? If your society allows theft, what does that say about your society? If your society allows slavery, what does it say about your society? If your society allows voluntary trade and associate, if your society allows voluntary trade and association, and it does not hinder voluntary trade and association, then you have a voluntary society. Yeah, you no, okay, not everyone is going li- listen, not everyone's going to engage in voluntary transactions, okay? Not everyone is going to respect other people's rights. Yeah, how do you think what how would that go any differently in a commune? If you decide not to work in a commune, what's gonna happen to you? Yeah, since you don't eat, you fucking die. Sorry, I went AFK for a second. What were you saying? Huh? Well, no, no, it's not. What? Hey, what happens if you stop working in a commune? You said your answer was you don't eat. And if you don't eat, how can you live? The point is, it's not Listen, by your logic, communism isn't voluntary either because you die if you don't work. No system, by your logic, no system is voluntary because you have to work to live. We're all slaves to nature. Therefore, nothing is voluntary. Yeah, you have to live to work. You don't have it. You. My point is, you have to work either way. So, saying that capitalism is slavery because it's not voluntary. What is that? Not literally what? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, the hell it doesn't. Dude, you can buy really cheap clothes that won't. You can buy affordable clothing. You can buy a variety of food. You can eat however you want. You can dress however you want. Yes, you can. Just because you can't listen, listen. Just because you can't choose lobster, it doesn't mean you can't choose crab or tuna. You still have a choice. Oh my fucking god, yes you do. Dude, yes you do. Yeah, I have I have poor friends. I've been to their houses before. I know that they're poor and they still have a variety of clothing. They still have a variety of food. By your logic, they should just be starving on the street because their wage is fucking enslaving them. Listen, listen, if you don't you, okay, you might not have expensive Listen, you might not have expensive clothes, you might not have expensive food, but you have food. You can choose between different types of food and clothing. You have a choice. Like I said, just because you can't choose lobster, it doesn't mean you can't choose crab or any kind of seafood. This proves that the whole system this proves that you're not a slave to your wage. That's what it proves. Oh my Oh my god. No, you don't automatically die if you you don't automatically die if you're low. Yeah, look, yes, you're probably gonna you're most definitely gonna die someday. Okay? If you're homeless, excuse me, the chance if you're homeless, people will still care about you. People still have empathy. People will still want to care for you. Homeless shelters exist for a reason. Soup kitchens exist for a reason. People will care about you. But the point is, you're not gonna die. You can still live off the scraps of other people. Yeah, you could starve to death. Certainly. Yes, you can starve to death. I don't see how starving to death in a commune would be any different from starving to death in a city. Okay, what if you don't even work? What if you make no resources in a commune? Do you get anything at all? Exactly, and that's by your logic, communism isn't. It's slavery too, because you have to work or else you don't eat. Okay, so communism is slavery. Congratulations. Can we please just move on to another topic? This is going around in circles. Hmm, okay. Yeah. Hey, wolf leftists. If you're part of a voluntary hierarchy, there is a choice. Just saying. Yeah, workers can own the means of productions and of their goods. But if no one, but if you don't work to produce those goods, what do you get in a commune? What happens if there's a market crash? I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look into that. Like I don't entirely understand market crashes or economics. So I'd probably have to do more more research on that. No, it's voluntary, you fucking idiot. Yeah, hey, dirty leftist. Believe it or not, you can actually live off the scraps of other people. That's kind of how homeless people get by. I mean, like, have you ever been to a city where there's homeless people? Dirty. Oh no, no, I wasn't talking to you. Yeah, hey, wolf leftist. The same applies for communism. If you don't work, you die. If you don't produce things, you get nothing in communism. Now, in capitalism, if you don't, in capitalism, if you don't, no, in a capitalist system, if you don't work, people still have empathy for you. People will still at least provide you with things to get by. But I mean, what? Okay, I don't, but they can live. That's the point. I, okay, look, I agree that that's no way a man should live. Okay, but you can't fix that by you just look. There are scarcities of resources. There aren't enough resources to go around. That's the unfortunate truth. The best way to go about that is definitely not to friggin' make sure everybody has the exact same amount of resources. Okay, this 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 topic is getting old. Even if you redistributed it, everybody's still going to be poor because, as I said, there's not enough resources to go around. Anyways, let's just move on. What the fuck? No, no, that's the capitalism produces innovation. How do you think? What Look, you've got okay. You've got people. You have in capitalism. You have people with a lot of money, a lot of resources, all the time in the world to hire people to make new stuff to satisfy their customers. They have to innovate if they want to. They have to innovate if they want to survive as a business. That did. My fucking god! You said yeah. You just said that capitalism creates some innovation. Oh, that doesn't prove anything. What we can just sit here and say, oh, that doesn't prove anything. We're not getting anywhere though. I guess there could be. I'm not really sure. I'd have to. Okay, yeah, sure. There, innovation happens. You're not going to stop progress. I'm just saying that communism isn't the best way to go about innovation. How would that not be the way to? Because if you, how do you know necessarily that everybody would be working for quote unquote the greater good of society? Like even the Soviet Union had a government that was at war. They kind of had to develop those technologies uh if they wanted to be above their opponent. Yeah, but that's my point. They're at war. Yes, and that they innovate. The government innovated. No, communism doesn't produce innovation because there's competition. Dirty leftist communism, I guess, produces innovation whenever people need to innovate. Like for, in this case, the T-34 tank and the AK-47. Those were innovations, but they were only brought about by the government warring. Yes, no, but the government, you're not getting the point. The government was the one who needed that in the first place. The govern the government the government needed those weapons for the war. Okay, look, fine. Okay, you know what? Look, I'll concede. Communism creates innovation. So what? Honestly, I don't know. I'd have to do more research into that. I I dislike the very childish attitude that communism was founded upon. The attitude that if something is not fair, if something does not create equal outcome, it is wrong and it's bad. I also don't like the very collectivist nature of communism. Hmm? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's basically what I don't like about communism. Okay. Well, I that's a hmm. This is indeed weird. Testing. Hmm.
Okay. Wait. Mute it up. But yeah. Okay. Can people hear me now? I just want to make sure. Can you guys hear me now? Testing, testing, testing. God. For most of the stream, I think people couldn't hear me that well. Sucks.
Okay, Atomic says he can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Wait, let me just put my headphones in my phone real quick. Then we'll continue. Sorry. Yeet. Okay, there we go. Okay, test. Okay, you can hear me well, right?
I can hear you.
Okay. But what's your main critique about communism, collectivism? You said you don't like collectivism, correct?
Yeah, I don't like collectivism.
Okay, but why exactly?
Well, first of all, because it makes people slaves to the collective in question. Second of all, it takes away it. Basically, what it does is it allows the collective to rule over.
But the collective
It
is
allows
ran
the
by the
collective to
people.
rule over you under the guise that if everybody agrees that this is right, then it's good.
Wait, sorry, I just wanted to test just in case everything. What's it called? The audio worked a bit. Just
Okay.
turn this up a bit.
Hello.
Okay, I see it was a bit glitchy. But you just want to do a quick recap of since they weren't able to hear me for most of the stream. They just
Sure.
want to do a quick recap of that.
Hmm.
Basically, at the beginning, we talked about governmental capitalism, and before this, we agreed that communism. You agreed that communism brings innovation.
I said yes. Sometimes communism brings innovation.
Okay.
I'm honestly not too sure about the. Sure, you've given me examples of communist countries innovating, but I think I'd have to do more research
Yeah.
to really come out with a concrete answer.
Okay.
But for now, yeah, communism has innovated.
Okay. And also the beginning, what's it called? Well, we didn't. We just went back and forth about how capitalism exploits people and how it doesn't. According to
Yeah,
cap and all that.
basically my argument was that capitalism is a completely voluntary system. Therefore, wage labor is not slavery. You're not a slave to your wage or anyone, really.
Wouldn't you be necessarily slave to your boss at the time if you worked? Would you be slave to the capitalist?
Not really.
I
You are
mean,
getting something out of it.
well, you are getting something out of it compared to the capitalist, barely any. But okay, let's just continue.
So, okay, yeah, we're
Then
just
we'll do
gonna go
the
back and forth again. Okay,
yeah.
let's
Then
just.
about the collective thing. You aren't a slave to it because the collective is ran by the people, and it's what's it called? It's the collective is the people.
But what if
There's
you rebel? What if you rebel against the collective? What if
um,
you don't like what the collective is doing?
well, if you
What
don't
will
like
the
what the collective
collective
is
do to
doing,
you? Since the collective is the people,
well,
and
you
you are
could
a
start
person,
you could
technically.
start your own collective. There's a lot of collectives in communism now, but collectivization in general, I think, is good because when the collectivization was brought to the Russia, massive amounts of production increased and all that. Though while there's a free market still in the Ukraine, well, in northern Ukraine, there's a what's it called? The kulaks were hoarding grain from the peasants and the collectives there. and then the Soviets came in and killed all of them, liquidated them, as I
Okay.
should say.
And that's, yeah, basically the collective can slaughter anyone they disagree with because the collective is the
But
people.
I just like to point out, yeah, if the people agree that they should like, okay, maybe we should stop these people that are like hoarding grain, then how's that bad? You know, I'm just using a historical example because I thought it'd be a bit easier, like creating a hypothetical one.
Okay.
But how would that be bad if they stop the what's it called, the grain hoarders?
It's bad because they stopped the grain herders
Holders.
via it's bad because they stopped these grain herders by initiating force against them. What they should have done is started their own kind of business
They
where
don't have businesses in the Soviet Union. Well, yeah,
I know, but what I'm
somewhat. Yeah.
saying is that it was wrong because they initiated force against these people. Morally, the good thing to do would have been to have given those people grain. Start a business that doesn't hoard grain. Like sell them grain for an affordable price.
Well, I just like to point out there wasn't really money in the Soviet Union. There's labor
Yes, I know
outlays.
there was not money in the Soviet
Okay,
Union.
okay.
I know this. I know it wasn't a choice. What I'm saying is that it's bad the way they went about it.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like, what's bad about force necessarily? I mean, force is really the only thing that gets things accomplished. Before, like, um, well, while during the civil rights movement, for example. Wait, sorry. Let me just respond to this. Okay, sorry. Wait. Oh yeah, but during the civil rights movement, even before Martin Luther King was somewhat peaceful, but he still advocated for violence in some stances.
Okay. And I'm glad he didn't actually use violence. Well, if he did, then I'm not glad. But I really don't care. Basically, just
Also,
you.
sorry, let me just add on one thing. Also, during like the Free India movement, well, like Quit India, I mean, before Gandhi, there's tons of revolutionaries that fought and tried to free India as well, and they're martyrs.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think force is necessarily bad. I don't think we should use it. I think we should use it immediately though, since mm, what's it called? Revolutionary anarchist theory. We basically believe that you should do a revolution and skip socialism, since they think socialism is a waste of energy, and when you can just go to straight communism.
Are you like, okay, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying because
Okay.
I don't know, you're like brushing up against the mic, and yeah. Are you using a phone right now?
Yeah, I just wanted to, since my mic was acting up a bit
Oh,
and the
okay.
stream. Yeah, I'm just gonna
Just
adjust it. This better?
yeah, okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, could you repeat the question?
I was just gonna say basically in revolutionary anarchist theory, we believe that you should just skip over socialism and go straight to revolution, and then you go straight to communism because why would you want to go socialism? Just go to communism immediately.
I think what Okay, I
And
think
we think force would be valid towards the bourgeoisie because they've been oppressing us according to theory.
okay.
We could argue over that later, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I think didn't Karl Marx advocate for a slow transition into communism?
Well, yeah, somewhat, but I'm not Marxist. Anarchists believe,
Okay.
well, left-wing anarchists believe
Okay.
revolution immediately, not going to socialism, or going to capitalism, just go straight to communism.
Okay, but why? I mean,
So the bourgeoisie can stop oppressing us and we can establish a communist society relatively faster than Marxism.
okay. I have a question for you. Just
Mm-hmm.
this, do you think the so you think the bourgeoisie have do you think the bourgeoisie have enslaved the proletariat, so to speak?
I wouldn't say exactly enslaved, but just exploited.
Okay. Do you think they've done so
Though in some
via an
cases slavery, because like the bourgeoisie, slave owners, like back in the South, they owned slaves. That'd be slavery.
yeah, well, nowadays there's well, I guess I'm not even sure if there's
Well, there
still
is still
human.
slavery around, but like I'm just talking about in general, most of them are being
Okay.
exploited,
Okay.
not just slavery.
Yes. So, do you think the bourgeoisie is more powerful than the proletariat?
Not necessarily. It depends because I think the bourgeoisie can win over minds of many because in revolutions there's always going to be a counter revolution. Like during the
Okay.
Russian Revolution, the whites and the bourgeoisie
Yeah.
fought against reds.
So, do you think that in a anarcho-capitalist society, the proletariat would revolt?
Yeah, of course. I think all the other ideologies would as well because you believe that anarcho-capitalism would come by like voluntary means.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think everyone would agree to have like without restrictions on the market or anything. I do believe the majority of some of the bourgeoisie would agree if like people already have like a strong basis for the ideology, like conservatives, for example. I think they'd probably just revolt and establish a state, or just try to re-establish a state.
Okay. Do you think anarcho-capitalism could work if yeah, do you just think anarcho-capitalism could work?
Um, Only for a very small amount of time, and
Why is
only
that?
because I think it'll just splinter into like warlords and different ideologies fighting.
Okay.
Splinter apart. That's what I mean because there's no like since even if there was a lot of anarcho-capitalists, which I do believe there's like a lot of decent amount of libertarian capitalists. Let's just
Sure.
use the USA for example. I still think that like liberals and like even socialist left wingers, conservatives.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'd have to I'd have to disagree. I don't think we see. Okay, here's the thing about violent revolution.
Mm-hmm.
There are many times in history where rebels have taken over the government, right? Only to install a government that was just as harsh or harsher than the previous
Like
government. But
are
of
you talking
course,
about like the Soviet Union?
the rebels promised liberty. They promised freedom from this oppressive regime. But of
Can
course,
you
they
give me
became
like
an
a
oppressive regime. So I think a violent revolution almost always leads to government that was almost as harsh, if not harsher, than the previous. I mean, take the
see
French Revolution for example.
I can see why you believe that, but in the French Revolution, yeah, there's I think even under Napoleon's dictatorship, no, it was better than the previous government because the previous government had serfs
Okay, well,
and they had feudalism and they had like basically slavery and all that. Napoleon outlawed it, even though he was pro-slavery. But I do believe Napoleon was quite bad compared to Robespierre.
okay, well, I mean, yeah. The point is, he was still bad.
Yeah,
He wasn't really what the people of France wanted,
true.
and so that's why I'm mostly opposed to violent revolution.
Well, I can see why, but like that's one example, and even then, people were still trying to make a much better
Oh
society.
no, I mean there are. I'm trying to think of what exactly South. I think it was in South Sudan.
Yeah,
Um, they. I think there's. I'm not sure if they're still engaged in a civil war now, but if they're not, then they were engaged in a civil war,
oh,
and
South Sudan is still in the civil war.
yeah, okay. Well, they're still in a civil war now, right? And that's I mean that's another thing. Civil war can be a very costly thing,
Yeah,
and it
I'm
might not
in the
always
Russian. I'm in the
it
Russian
might not
Civil
always
War.
result in the rebels winning. Like
Hmm.
it's a very costly thing to do, but I don't. It's not just France where that happened. There was
Wait,
what was the name of the country?
Soviet Union,
No, not the Soviet Union.
South Sudan.
South, no, not South Sudan. There's uh, I forget the name of the country, but they had a coup, and the rebels ended up being really, really harsh on.
Hmm.
They ended up installing a dictatorship. What was the name?
You can just Google it. We have time.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing. I'd Google it, but I don't know the name of the country.
Ah,
It was an African country. What's the fucking what was the
Somalia.
name? Somalia?
I think Somal.
I'm not sure about Somalia.
I know a lot
But
about African history, so it's funny.
oh, okay. Uh I think was it Equatorial Guinea or
Oh, Equatorial Guinea. I've heard of those. Yeah. Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea? Yes, Guinea-Bissau, I think. I think, I'm not sure.
Well, I know a lot about Guinea-Bissau. It actually had a communist revolution against the Portuguese. The Portuguese,
Okay.
they're imperialists. They kicked them out, and then they established socialism, which is a communist revolution. It was dictatorship though, doom it, and they did kill a lot of capitalist opposition, since that's what happens in revolutions.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's no, it was this rebellion didn't happen during the age of imperialism. Or well, I mean, some would argue that the age of imperialism isn't over, but I mean,
I agree somewhat. I think we're just in the age of neo imperialism.
yeah, not happening during the age of neo-imperialism, but fuck, I just damn it.
It's fine though.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'd give you the name of this country and I'd show you what happened, but I just fucking
Blank.
I don't know. Okay. Since I okay, I will have to do a little bit more research on
Okay, but
fucking African history, I guess, but yeah,
wait.
I mean,
Just before we um finish up this debate, I think we're almost finished anyway.
yeah, sure. I mean, we
Would
were
you
just
ever
gonna
become
go.
a
We just went back and forth at each other on the whole wage
yeah,
slavery thing. So let's just avoid that topic.
yeah, but would you ever consider becoming a socialist?
I'd rather be I'd rather be a left anarchist than a statist.
Oh, okay.
That's my answer.
What's one more thing that you dislike about socialism or or left anarchism or communism in general?
I get it. Just I don't like how they. I don't like their ideas of property. Because
Like personal property and
yes, personal. The words personal and private are basically synonymous. Like, what would you define as personal property?
personal property is like your toothbrush, your couch, maybe your laptop or your computer.
Okay, but what defines that as your personal property?
Because you own it and you can't what's it called? In communism, you can't make wealth out of just your computer, since you can't you can't. There's no money in communism, like I said.
Okay, well,
I'm just
it's
gonna
just
use a definition real quick so I can just give you a bit of an idea. I know this isn't
okay.
exactly right, but
Well, you can actually like make money with your computer. I mean, you
yeah, in
don't.
capitalism you can.
Hey, sure, but just overall, you can make wealth with your computer. Maybe not in a perfect communist system, but you can definitely make wealth with your computer.
I agree in capitalism. Yeah, you could like I
Okay,
guess
no,
you
no,
could
no,
sell something on the internet. Yeah.
but if you can just make wealth with it, then what?
How'd
I
you
mean,
make wealth with it though?
okay, what is that how you define what personal and private property is?
Well,
Like it just
personal
if you
private
can
property is like a
if you can use something to to make something else to make wealth, is that now not personal property?
well, if you're talking about on capitalism, then if you can make something that can turn into wealth, it's still personal property as long as you don't like. Well, if you turn it into wealth, it wouldn't be necessarily private property either. It'd just be wealth. Like, wait, I just want to see this real quick from Atomic Ancap. Squirrel, if the proletariat would revolt, hmm, how many workers would confirm that? Also, do you actually have statistics and not just some word of a crackpot who's not even an economist? Oh man, I sure do love those capitalist economists. Never biased. Also, what if people start voluntary trading with secret currency?
Oh yeah, I was going to get to
Why?
that eventually.
I was gonna
Um,
say, why would anyone ever do that if you had everything that you needed already? There'd
well,
be no need.
here, Squirrely. Do you agree that do you just want freedom?
Freedom? What do you mean? Like freedom for the? I just think freedom for the proletariat.
Just
They
freedom.
just
Okay.
I
So,
believe in freedom, man.
like I think that do you think that anarchists just want freedom?
No, definitely not.
Well, I mean like all anarchists.
No, no.
Okay. Well, I think that all anarchists want is freedom. Just the freedom to
Well,
do
if
whatever they want as long as they just freedom overall. That's the main goal of anarchy.
well,
Like,
no, it would be probably just a classless society.
would you consider that freedom?
Yeah, stateless class society, moneyless society is what most anarchists agree.
Okay. So, it you and okay, I just want freedom for people to do whatever they want as long as they don't as long as they don't violate the rights of other people. And so it, would you stop people from like leaving a commune and creating businesses, or would you stop people from creating businesses in a commune?
Oh, sorry.
Like, would you
You'd stop
stop?
businesses from forming in a commune.
Well,
You just
not
like
just that. Would you just stop businesses from forming? Period.
well, businesses wouldn't be needed or necessary, or even probably wouldn't be formed that much.
Okay. Well, let's just say they do. Would you try and stop them?
Um, Hypothetically, that'd be really rare, but the majority of people would stop them because they'd be they'd be exploiting someone, and a person would know they'd be exploited. They probably wouldn't voluntarily sign up when they already have everything they need. You know, gotta be specific.
Okay. But in order for a business to form, don't people kind of have to have the mindset that, like, hey, I do sure need some money right now, and I could really work for someone. Be nice if I could, do some wage labor. I mean, like, just in order for businesses to form, people just kind of have to have the mindset that it's all voluntary. Like that's
Wait,
voluntary
sorry.
exchange is basically how businesses
What's it
form.
called?
So
Can you repeat for a
I
second?
guess I'm asking like, would you try and stop voluntary exchange?
Voluntary exchange, like I said, would be extremely rare in anarcho-communist society because you'd already have everything you need. But if there was, like I said, the people would probably intervene and stop the transaction because it can threaten the entire society if you start doing capitalist practices.
Okay, that's I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of all I have to say. My dinner has gotten pretty cold, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
yeah.
Would you
I
like
was gonna
to redo this debate sometime since like I mentioned like the audio is really bad for the first part? I'm not saying like
yeah,
redo like all the topics, but like just have like a few new ones and it'd be probably much shorter.
sure,
Okay.
sure,
We
whatever you
can
want. I
schedule that
mean,
in the hangout, I guess. But yeah.
yeah, all right, sure.
Okay. End of debate. Sorry for everyone that ever watched this on YouTube. And